Hey friends, welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing about why I think the best movie monsters are the ones that we don't see. Let's get going and jump right in. Welcome once again, my name is Austin and this channel is all about digging deeper and going further to better understand faith and film and everything that's in between. If that sounds exciting to you, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any new videos. Before I get started, share your favorite movie monster in the comments down below and we'll get started. So, what are we talking about when we're talking about movie monsters? It could be an alien monster in a movie. It could be a human that is almost monstrous in their performance and the role that they play in the story. There's a huge wide spectrum of what it can be. But why do I think the best movie monsters are the ones we can't see? Well, personally, I feel like the more we see of the movie monster, psychologically, I feel like there's more of an understanding. If you're able to visualize the monster that is the antagonist against the characters you're supposed to be following and hopefully wanting to be victorious in the story, you almost kind of don't want to understand the monster that much. You just need to understand enough to follow the story and be motivated with the characters. Now, when I say the best movie monsters are the ones you don't see, I don't mean they're not on screen at all. I just mean minimal screen time. And the best examples of this, probably the best in my opinion, I mean, I got stuff behind me, I'm wearing the t-shirt. The first Alien movie is probably the best example of the less of the monster you see, the scarier it is, because just think, watching the Alien movie, I'm pretty sure the Alien itself only has like 3 or 4 minutes of screen time in the movie. The movie's like 2 hours long. You don't even get into the situation with the alien until like 30 minutes into the movie. So they're just focusing so much and working extremely hard to build that tension. And when you build that tension, you want that to be maintained as long and as strong as possible. And if we're constantly seeing where the monster is, what they're up to, it kind of breaks that tension. With the fact that there's a mystery as to where in the ship the alien is, that builds upon the suspense and fear that you have of it could be anywhere. A couple other great examples of this when it comes to science fiction and alien stuff is the original Predator movie. I mean, it helps with this one, the one with Schwarzenegger, that the Predator has invisibility, so that helps as well, but we get some POV shots of, ooh, the monster sees things in this way, but it can't be seen. And then you get little tiny glimpses of its effect on the environment that it's in, but you don't actually get to see what it looks like. And I mean, at the end, both with Alien and the Predator, you get a decent look of it at the end, but still, for primarily the entire runtime, you're barely getting a glimpse of what this thing looks like. Even some classic slasher movies apply this methodology. Think of the original Halloween. I just watched this one for the first time not long ago, and I was talking about how you barely get, like, it's a man, and it's a man in a mask, sort of. But you barely get a good glimpse at him until the end of the movie. And even when you do get a good glimpse at Michael Myers, it's from a distance, or he's obscured mostly by something, or it's really dark, or it's blurry, and those create a sense of mystery and dread because you're not quite exactly sure what he looks like. You have a decent idea, but it's so fast you can never get a good look at him to truly understand what he looks like, and that adds to the fear. Another one, I checked out Friday the 13th over the summer for the first time, and this one's funny because I did not know that Jason is not the slasher villain until like the second, third, or fourth movie in the franchise. So I'm watching this movie, seeing all the, tropes of the teenagers getting killed one by one and luring all alone and stuff, and I'm wondering, what's it gonna be when we get to meet Jason at the end? And then we get to the end, and it's revealed to be his mother, be almost possessed by him. And that shocked me because I was, in my point of view, totally prepared for a Jason reveal at the end. And then I'm looking it up afterwards and it's like, oh, Jason's not even in this franchise for a few movies and they actually establish him as a slasher then. So like that's another one of you just see quick glimpses, you see the kills, you see arms, POV, that kind of thing. And you're never quite sure what he looks like until you find out it's not even him, it's his mother. That's a great twist and very well played. A couple others that I wanted to mention along with this is Psycho, the Alfred Hitchcock classic. I saw this one years ago, and this is another good one because they play with it very well. Like when you do get moments of the violence and whatnot, it's silhouetted, so you're not quite exactly sure, and it's so fast and so violent, you're not quite sure what you're looking at, and that adds to the suspense and the tension within that scene. Another great classic is Jaws. Jaws does, as similarly to the Alien, does not have a ton of screen time in the movie, but as soon as you hear that piano cue come on, you know Jaws is nearby. And you're just dreading that moment of when he comes in and he goes for the attack. And that's another great example of well-constructed tension and fear. Now, I want to kind of flip the coin because I'm not saying every movie monster that is the best are the ones that have minimal screen time. There are some exceptions to this rule. A few of them that I think of off the top of my head would be, I talked about Alien. Look at Aliens. You get a lot more screen time of the aliens because there's multiple of them. Now it still plays well for the story and what it is trying to do, but it doesn't compromise on necessarily that fear. But it's trying to do something different, and it works for what it's trying to do in this movie as opposed to the original. Another example of the pretty much opposite. Now I haven't seen the original for this, I've only seen the prequel-y thing, and that is The Thing. I'm hoping to check this one out soon. I may hold off on it till next October and do a reaction to it then, we'll see. But I also might squeeze it in this year, we'll find out. But this is a perfect example of an exception, because I know a bit about this movie, that's why I'm about to talk about it. One of the strengths of this movie and the fear that it brings is the practical effects, which always help, of the monster, and the fact that it is essentially a shape-shifting entity that creates these just grotesque and disturbing, scary creations that just bring incredible amounts of fear and dread to, I'm assuming, the audience, but especially the characters, because they do not know what this thing is. Based on what I've seen in the prequel, it can shapeshift into pretty much anything, but eventually it's going to reveal itself, and you just get an image of, there's the fear because it can hide as anyone, but when it does reveal itself, it is so prominent in its disgust in its disgusting appearance that enhances the fear that you would feel. On a similar level, I would think of Pan's Labyrinth and the Pale Man sequence. That scene is absolutely terrifying. Like, the whole time Ophelia is in that room, slowly walking up to the table where the Pale Man just sits absolutely still, you're dreading what this thing is capable of. And we've heard the story and the mythology behind it, and you're just in absolute dread. And she gets closer and closer, gets what she needs, and turns, and you're like, oh no. And she takes the food, and it slowly just comes to life, and it puts the hands up for the eyes, and you're just running for your life along with her. So that's another great example of just such good monster design, mythology behind the creature, and the way it's conveyed. I'm not saying 100% of the time the best movie monsters have to have 3 minutes of screen time in the whole movie. There are perfect examples of monsters that have a lot of screen time but are done well, artfully, and incredibly skillfully, that can be well portrayed and still add an immense level of fear and terror to the story. I want to know your thoughts on this subject. Do you think the best movie monsters are the ones that we don't see as much? Or do you think pretty much it doesn't matter, I don't care, I want to see as much of this monster as possible? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I think it's a really interesting discussion. So, thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope you've been enjoying my October kind of horror-focused series. Next week, we're going to be wrapping up the month with my Blu-ray haul. So with that in mind, make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss out on that. It was a big month for pickups for me. Thank you once again. I will see you in the next video.